Welcome back to the Business Savvy Therapist. Today, we're having a bit of a conversation about you keeping 40%. You went into this field probably very much like I did to help people. And then we became business owners, and that was kind of not really on purpose. Actually, I'm curious, you listening, did you kind of fall into a group practice? You just got busy and then you looked around and said, oh, wow, I have a wait list and now I have these people, but it wasn't on purpose? Or some of you listening, it was very much on purpose. You've always wanted a team. You've always wanted a big business and to be a leader. But regardless, I think it's because we're in the helping profession and also because we've been brainwashed that we're not allowed to make money in this industry, which I'm disrupting that narrative, by the way. But I really want to have this conversation around why you should be keeping 40%. For a fully licensed person, you have to be keeping 40%. They get paid 60 and you keep 40. Very important. Do not pay. I repeat, do not pay more than that. The only time I did is when I worked with psychologists and they were very specialized, like a neuropsychologist or something like that, where they just weren't going to they wanted a bit more than 60. And I knew that if I didn't give it to them, like they're impossible to find. Okay. Before we jump in, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your messages on Instagram. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say names. Actually, funny enough, sometimes I don't know your name because you're messaging me from your therapy profile. But I just want to do a shout out to the person in Moncton. You know who you are. Thank you for messaging me. When you share your success just by listening to the podcast or maybe coming to a couple of my live events, it's super duper inspiring. Like I just can't even believe what you've done. I just want you to take a moment and connect with your younger self, that person 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 6 months ago. My gosh, I think she would be in awe. I think he would be amazed, right? Like if you think of yourself 6 months ago, a year ago, before we met, maybe it was 3 years ago, how would they feel? I don't even know if you expected this, if even you could fathom what you are capable of. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so, so proud of you. And thank you for messaging me because I'm talking to you, but I love to hear back. So specifically, I want to walk you through what you provide for 40%. I want you to feel so confident during the interview that you can tell them, and I literally want you to write this down, pause it, but there is so much that you keep when you keep 40% of the pie. When I say the pie, the client pays for a therapy session. They give money to the practice, the group practice. There's 100% of that money. And then you take 40% for a fully licensed person, or you take 50% for a pre-licensed or qualifying person. Just for simplicity, I'm going to talk today about the 40% because it is so important during the interview process. When they ask, okay, 60-40, okay, like what exactly do I get for that? For only getting paid 60% of the session, what do I get? And I'm going to have you feel so confident about what they get after this conversation. Just a note. I actually suggest not saying a percentage during the interview and not saying a percentage in the job description, but instead saying the amount. So let's say in Canada, the going rate, I'm in Toronto, is about 175, okay? Give or take. This is not the psychology rate. The psychology rate's like 230, but the psychotherapy rate for a registered psychotherapist, I would say is about 175 or more because now we don't have to pay HST to the government. Now, if you're in network and you're in America, of course, you just get paid what they pay you. I'm hoping you're only staying on the panels that actually pay well. I can help you with that, divorcing this abusive relationship with insurance and only staying with the ones that actually pay you well. I don't think any of them really pay you, quote, well. But if you're private pay, at least please be charging 175, okay? It should be more than that, but at least 175. Now, here's the thing. So when you're sitting in front of this person, and they say, how much do you pay me? I want you to say the amount. not the percentage, because the percentage sounds a lot smaller. But let's say I'm really off the top of my head, let's just say it's $105. So you get paid $105. We bill $175. You don't even have to say what you bill. Like, this is what you get paid. $100 is a lot of money. If you're in network, it's going to be less, probably, but tell them the flat rate. That's really important because it's good money. I think it's good money. And here's what they get. Are you ready? I'm going to walk you through everything they get. I think it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow their mind. The biggest thing, though, that is priceless, there's no money tied to this, is being surrounded by a team. Not doing this alone, having people who have your back, having colleagues you can hang out with, having a tribe around you, in addition to supervision, potentially in consultation. Now, this is a fully licensed person, so it won't be supervision, but like consultation. So let's go. You're ready to rock and roll? Listen up. This is what they get. And by the way, when you show up to this conversation, you want to resonate conviction, just like you hear in my voice. You want to be so excited for them of what they get, and they are going to feel that and want to work just with you. There's going to be some people that just fall in love with you and your energy. Literally, that would happen to me on interviews. They're just like, you know what? I just want to work with you. Can I just work with you? And I'd be like, yes, you can. Come on over. I really like you too. So just be aware that if you show up like a timid little bird, like the baby, because here's the truth, you are a baby boss. I get it. You don't have the confidence yet, which is why I actually think you should hire baby therapists, pre-license, as a caveat, or as a side note. But tap into your vision, tap into where you know you're going. And guess what? They get to join you on the ground floor of something great. Walk them through what you're going to be offering in the future. Walk them, even a lot of my members, we talked about this in coaching. By the way, this whole conversation came from a coaching call yesterday because we were chatting about it. That they'll say, I'm working with Nicole McCants, or you don't even have to say my name. Like, I'm working with a business coach. Like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm creating a practice that is so streamlined. I'm creating something so amazing that really doesn't exist in our city. And they will buy in. But remember, overall, what really is going to sell, and yes, you are selling this in a way, right, is your conviction. And I know you were convicted because you were committed to this podcast. You were showing up on my Instagram. You're coming to my live events. You care. You're so committed. You know what you're capable of. Let's go. For the 60%, they get office. You actually get a fully furnished office. I take care of the rent. I take care of the utilities. I take care of all of the furnishings. You get a chair, table, a couch, like everything you need. I take care even of the office supplies. All Kleenex, because that's important. That's like the only equipment we really need. You have access to a printer, tea, paper, of course, like all the things. I also take care of all the referrals. Most importantly, you don't have to worry about that. I do all the marketing. I'll invest in a website. I'll invest in your headshots. I'll even invest in your Psychology Today profile. I'll do advertising. I'm going to put us on directories. Oh my gosh, guys, how do you feel? Pretend you're them. How does this feel? And maybe listen to this before you go into that interview, because I want you to be your best self, because they will resonate with that. Your resonance is going to be so high vibe that they're like begging to join, because they're going to be lining up around the corner because they're so bought in to your greatness and your vision, and they just want to be part of it. But wait, there's more. I also cover admin. We have an admin. She's only part-time right now, but she will support you. She'll do the follow-ups. If someone cancels, we'll make sure that she's following up. We take care of all the operations. We even we give you JNAP, which is the practice management software. It automates everything for you. It even reaches out to your wait list once we get you on. It does everything. By the way, side note, I will put a coupon to try Jane for free for a month. It is by far the best. Not only does it automate, but it helps you grow. Look into it. It helped me grow primarily because I could pull the reports and I could see what the bottlenecks were. The reporting is incredible. So they get top of the line practice management and you cover the cost. Another side note. What I love about Jane too, between you and me, is you only pay, based on sessions, which I really like. So it's easy to scale. There's others that charge you per therapist, but what if that therapist has no clients? That's not cool. I'd rather you have the cash flow where Jane charges you more the busier they get, because you're actually paying based on, I think it's client, or, you know what I mean? Or sessions specifically, which is amazing. So that really helped me too, because then you can take your extra money that you're not paying the practice management software for a therapist that isn't busy, and you can invest in revenue generated things to bring in more clients. But wait, there's even more. I cover not only JNAP, but I cover all of your credit card fees. We take credit card, we make it easy, it's all automated, and we take care of those fees. There's also peer consultation. Now, if they're your very first therapist, it's going to be you doing peer consultation. If they're pre-licensed, you're going to walk through the exact same list, except you're going to give them the flat rate, not for 60%, but for 50%, because they get supervision, right? And you're going to walk them through that model. But we're talking about a pre-licensed person right now. So for them, you get peer consultation. It'll be with me at the beginning. And as we grow, more and more people will join, because I'm really committed this year to bring on 10 therapists, whatever your vision is. And what's really cool about this is over time, you won't have to do the peer consultation. It will have a life of its own. I actually suggest you do, maybe at least for the first 3 months for every new hire, if you don't want to do it full time, because I want you to get more freedom and to create something that's automated. But it's pretty cool because they're going to love meeting, and it's going to have a life of its own. You'll start it, but it will run without you if you want. You're going to have a team around you. We have outings. We hang out in the kitchen. Like, they're going to just love that team atmosphere. And that is everything they get. Now, also, this is when you have more cash flow. We did monthly team meetings. Now, you absolutely need to be meeting every month. So just on Zoom, the whole team. This is where you roll out just any updates. Here's the thing though, I had contractors mostly. If you're going to go the contractor route, you want to only go the contractor route. If you're in Canada, if you go the employee route, just make sure you pick one, because you can't mix, because the IRS or the CRA will say, wait a minute, we're going to call them all employees if some of them are, but they're all doing the same thing, that we're going to call them employees. Now, in the States, you do have to hire W-2s in almost every state to be safe. I think you should hire only W-2s. This is why we have American and Canadian employment lawyers in my program to kind of help you with that, because it can be a very costly mistake. But I had mostly contractors. This is the model in Canada mostly. And so guess what happened? They didn't want to show to the team meetings. Why? Because they didn't have to. They're not being paid. They're busy. They just kind of came, saw clients, and left. So I had to work a little harder for collaboration and just culture and team. I might do a podcast episode. I haven't done one in a while on improving culture. So guess what I did? When I had the cash flow, and I suggest you do this too, you actually find an expert, pay them. They would come in, do like a half an hour presentation, pay them $200, which is a business expense. And then guess what happened? People showed up for the team meetings. Why? Because we had someone coming in to talk about psychedelics, to talk about IFS, to talk about like dream analysis, which was really cool, like a Freudian one. So pick trainings, and you're kind of like bribing them with really good team meetings. And we would always have a team meeting where we went over the, admin and kind of like business operation stuff, but I never wanted it to be boring. So I would bring in an expert, or you do a training. You're an expert. Why don't you do a training at the beginning? They also get that monthly trainings, or it can come later. Don't worry. I don't want to scare you. If you don't feel like you're an expert yet, you don't have the cash flow, eventually you can have those team meetings be mini trainings That's an added benefit that they get all of this, a business in a box. They literally get to do what they love with no stress, do therapy, and go home. And you only keep 40%. I hope you got a bit of a shift in the way that you think and you can show up with so much conviction now. A couple of extra things. I just want you to feel super motivated about what you're creating, and what you are providing is a home, a safe home for them to come and them to grow and them feel so supported by community, because every human being just wants to feel like they're not alone and that they are cared for. And if they feel that you are providing that, keyword, providing that to them, it's not going to be a no. It's going to be a, when do I start? Please pick me. I also want to point out two things. In every other industry, if you want to increase your profit margin, so what is your profit margin? It's what you keep after you pay your therapist. So in this case, your profit margin is 40%. It's not your profit, but it's your profit margin. Okay. So you collect $100, let's say, you have to pay that person who did the therapy, you pay them $60. We're going based on 60% here. So your profit margin is, 40%. Guess what? In almost every other industry, if you're selling computers or lawn care or a cafe or a restaurant, you can't really increase your profit margin so easy unless you cut corners, right? If you're a restaurant, you're going to get like different type of food, and then that could impact, of course, your reputation and service. But guess what? We can increase our profit margin by 10%, pretty like instantly if we're willing to supervise. And what I mean is, if you want more cash flow at the beginning, this is what I did. So top secret here. I actually think you should hire qualifying, is what we call them in Canada. Pre-license is what you call them in the States, because you pay them 50%, which means you just literally got a 10% bump in your revenue. My gosh, that could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars eventually. Oh, wait, it gets better. In Canada, you can even hire interns. In Washington, you can do this. In California, you cannot do this. You're not allowed to hire interns at all unless you are non-profit. Sorry about that. I know you're highly regulated over there, and so am I over here. But if you can, and the one thing we are allowed to do in Ontario, because we are also highly regulated, but we are allowed all throughout Canada, actually, not just Ontario, is to hire practicum students, and we're not allowed to pay them. Holy cow, wait. That is a 100% profit margin. No other business has that. No other business has that. It's like literally you are offering something where you collect money, but there's no cost. And even if, so what does it take from you? Does it take more time and effort? Yes, because you're supervising. I loved that though, because I could indoctrinate my people and infiltrate my brand, my way of being, because my reputation was me. So I wanted to supervise. I wanted to know what was going on. Quality care is everything. Retention is the key reason people are retained and continue to go to therapy, is that it works, that it's really good therapy. So here's my advice. Yes, show up confident about what you keep, but maybe you start and you're actually not even having this conversation because you're not paying your intern. And then you move to pre-licensed and you have the same conversation, but you're sharing that you're keeping 50%. And then eventually, for sure, I do believe you need fully licensed. They are easier to get booked some of the time. I will say though, if you can share on the phone and get your admin to really share that they get supervised and supervised by you. So it's like getting two clinicians on their case, then a lot of people will actually want to see your pre-licensed person. So I just wanted to remind you of that. We're talking about money here. And even if you can't supervise, it is still worth it if you hire a supervisor, because you're going to pay the supervisor less than that 10% bump. So even if you keep 5%, 8%, it is a really good business move. Also, as we're talking about money, just a reminder too, We are so lucky. So not only can we give ourselves major gross profit bumps, which is magical, like a lot of businesses just can't. Here's the other big thing. At any time, because I know some of you are listening and you're just on the cusp, you're so close. You're just on the borderline of your fear, which means something so big is on the way. Like it's all coming, it's already yours, but you haven't quite scaled yet to that group practice. Here's the thing. If you're terrified, not only can you give yourself that bump, but also here's a reminder. If you want to make more money, what do? You see clients. That's it. I think I said this last week on a previous podcast, but my husband owned a cafe. And guess what? If it was slow, or most industries, if they have a slow day, slow week, slow month, that's just that. That's very stressful. If that happens to you, what do? Just see clients, reach back out to your clients. You have been seeing clients for how long? A year, 5 years, some of you 10, 15. I was 15. I did it for 15 years before I moved on to group. So I had a whole lot of people. So just remember, as we talk about this money and all the things, and if you feel a bit terrified, if you need to, you just see the clients for a while, and then the cash flow picks up, and then you move them over. There is no ceiling to group practice. Oh my God, let's soak that in. There is no ceiling. There is a ceiling to solo. Do you remember that ceiling? Yes. For me, I wanted a good lifestyle. And because of that, I worked like a mad woman before I had kids. And it was a lot. I always said yes. If you said, "Can I see you?" I would drive halfway through the city. I had 2 locations. I was renting space from 2 locations. It was just oh my gosh, like the amount of things that I did. And my ceiling was burnout. My ceiling was overwhelm. But I couldn't make more money because it was just me. So know that a group practice, just a reminder, even if right now you have a group practice, I just want to remind you, if you're stressed, see some clients for cash flow. But and if it's flowing, which a lot of you it is, just remember that there's no ceiling. You choose. Doesn't that feel so beautiful? Doesn't that feel like real freedom and overflow that you get to choose? It is limitless. One more point, that just circling back for a second, that you could bring up as you're sharing why you keep the 40, 50%, whatever it is. I believe that if somebody in solo practice has a website and it's just them, but if that same person is in group practice and they're in a group, I actually believe that they'll have a higher conversion rate for the sole purpose that they're just in a group. Think about it, because someone's going to see them and say like, I don't know if they're good. I mean, they're on their own. Who knows? We can't really do Google reviews. So they might resonate, they might not. But when they're in a group practice, it's this sense that, oh, they've already been vetted by the clinic director and they're connected with this tribe. And I will say too, it's so interesting. As I grew to 55 therapists, this is so interesting. I had people say, I picked your clinic because it was big. And I figured you must be good, because why would all these people want to be here? Which is kind of cool. So as you scale, your reputation and credibility and authority also scales. I want to leave you with this. Your resonance. You are constantly putting out energy. You feel my energy now in every single conversation. Bring it. As you connect with people just before you go in that interview, I just want you to drop your shoulders, breathe into your heart. Remember why you're doing this. They will resonate. They will feel your energy because of mirror neurons. So one of my favorite things to do is an oxy breath, what my friend calls an oxy breath. And I actually invite you to do these more often. Here's what it sounds like when you breathe in. Just taking a deep breath and sighing it out. I'm going to do it one more time. And when you hear me do it, I want you to notice what happens in your body. Ready? Notice your body. Did you breathe in? Probably not. Maybe you weren't breathing, but you were hearing me breathe. So as my body relaxed and my body, as I sighed, released oxytocin. Okay. So when you sigh, you release oxytocin. But here's what's cool. When I did it and you did not do the oxy breath, you also release oxytocin, and that's because of mirror neurons. So when I'm at yoga, I make this sound a lot. I love making sounds at yoga. Yes, I'm that person. I do it for the room because I know that person beside me, as I sigh and just let go of all the stuff I have to let go of that day, I give their nervous system that break too. Isn't that so beautiful? And why I'm telling you this, because I wanted you to feel that this is true. Feel the mirror neurons, feel in your soul, deep in your cells, feel the resonance that you and I have. And then you will know, holy cow, this is real. And then you bring it all open heart to your interviews. And honestly, the percentage won't even matter. They're just going to look you in the eyes and say, this is my home. Can I please be here and never leave? You got this. I'm so proud of you. And I'll see you next week.